ourselves started. Thank you. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name's Paulina Cameron. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm the CEO of the forum. As we begin, I'll start by recognizing that today I'm dialing in from Vancouver, which is the stolen land of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. And as a first-generation white settler here, I feel a tremendous amount of gratitude as well as responsibility to the elders of this land, and remain committed towards a journey towards truth and reconciliation. I invite everyone who's on the line to pop into the chat where you are dialing in from today. It would be really great to hear where folks are based in. Usually we get a cross Canada group, so it's really fun to see where everyone is based. I'll give everyone a moment for that. We have another Vancouver. Thanks, Serena. Welcome, welcome. I know it's sunny here today, mostly sunny here in Vancouver, West Vancouver, North Vancouver. Oh, the West Coast is really representing great today. Amazing. Toronto, Bryn. Hello, Bryn. Vancouver, Toronto. Thank you, Noisway. Another Toronto. Amazing. Great. Thanks for sharing, everyone. So we are here today, 2 months post the Odlum Brown Forum Pitch finale, which is kind of wild. It feels like maybe it's been both 2 years and 2 days. And we're going to be talking to our 3 finalists to hear where are they now, what's been happening in their worlds, and see what has been evolving for them. I'll remind us that for the Odlum Brown Forum Pitch program this year, we had an initial 386 applications, which was then narrowed down to 12 semifinalists. And our 10 community panel members selected these 3 amazing women entrepreneurs and their businesses to go on to the finals. A few Zoom housekeeping notes for those who would like or require it. Closed captioning is available. You can enable it via your Zoom preferences, usually at the bottom bar below. And we do also have the chat feature enabled and encourage you to connect with us or one another. And as a reminder, the open chat is not an anonymous chat. So if you have any questions, you can either pop them into the chat and I will read them out and embed them into the conversation. All right, we are going to make sure that we are spotlighted correctly here. Let me make sure we can see ourselves. And I'm going to invite Carlin, Myrsa, and Kelly to join me in this virtual stage. And as they join me, I'll take a moment to remind us who they are. Carlin is the founder and CEO of VodaSafe. VodaSafe provides modern methods for water-based search and rescue through easily accessible handheld sonar devices. Myrsa is the co-founder and COO of Mentalist. Mentalist is an AI-powered online marketplace that enables the buying and selling of cars between consumers and dealers, all within a quick 24 hours. And Kelly is the co-founder of Quill. Quill provides e-commerce brands with reusable and returnable packaging to ship their orders in waste-free. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for being here with us. And we'll kick off the first question, very broad question, so take it in whatever direction you would like to, is what has been happening in your world for the last 2 months, so since April 27th? And let's begin with Carlin.
Hi, thanks for having me. In my world, mostly just been working hard to get more customers internationally. So my team went over to a worldwide rescue conference. It's been fantastic, kind of just coming off of the win and being able to post more on social media, drawing more attention to ourselves. We're trying to leverage that wherever we can. But yeah, I've been keeping busy with new customers, new markets, and just kind of cannot believe we're already halfway through the year. So working hard at now planning the next one, which is bizarre.
Amazing, amazing. Thanks, Carlin. How about you, Myrsa? Oh, unmute button. There we go.
We can build a software company. We can't find the unmute on our phone. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having us here, Paulina, and the forum team. The support that you're providing us is phenomenal. So thank you for this opportunity. share an update. For Mintless, very similar to Carlene, we're all about increasing transactions, expanding new markets. So we're moving to Toronto. So we're going to be opening up in Toronto next month. And that's what we're super excited about. We'll just receive the $2 million contribution from Pacific Can to hire new members and accelerate and grow the team. So that's something that we're very excited about. We're also revamping the product, making it super smooth for people just to list their car, get the fair deal on it, and buy a new one. So that's what we're super excited about, revamping product.
Oh, that's amazing. Congratulations, especially on the contribution and the funding. That feels like a really big win all the time. And this year in particular, that's really exciting. Kelly, how about you?
I think we all have a similar story here. It's mostly been about trying to expand to more customers and keep the business going underneath you, which is always the case. But for us, after the forum in particular, the gala, we were meeting with a lot of different brands in Vancouver, which was great, just opening doors to local brands in our city. And then we're kind of in the works for seeing whether it's possible to pilot with a much larger brand. And so ongoing discussions in terms of what it looks like to accomplish that.
It's that's so great to hear. And it's amazing to hear how in 2 short months, such a pace can be kept up with. Like one of the things that each of you talked about, both in your pitch and in your business right now, is the pace at which things are moving. And a question that comes up for me is I would love to know, as you look at now the year ahead, so let's look at a longer span of time, but if you think about the year ahead, what is the opportunity that you are most excited about, or thing that you would really love to come true? Like this is a manifesting moment. If you could put something on the board that you could wave a magic wand around, what would that be for you? Carlin, you're nodding. I think you've got it. I'm going to go to you first. Yeah.
So one thing I didn't mention, we just launched a pilot project in California. So we've got 12 units in 2 of the most high-risk lakes around Sacramento. If the summer goes well, it would mean a potential rollout to all lifeguards in California over the next 18 to 24 months. So I think that would be a game changer. California is they're in the top 3 in terms of size of lifeguarding communities. They're also a state that's kind of well followed. Obviously, they're leaders, obviously, in many different ways. I think it could have a huge impact, not for the business, for the business, obviously, but for saving lives. I think that would be a real beginning to a mass opportunity. So if I could wish for anything to come true, it would be that one.
That's incredible. Congratulations on the pilot. That feels like a really big win, and how things need to start at the beginning, for sure. And Carlin, I was really thinking about you over the last week when the tragic events around the submarine were unfolding. And to stay with you just for one more minute, I would love to hear what your thoughts were around that, and how did you I'm sure you were tracking it in great detail.
It was really interesting because at the time I was at the World Marine Rescue Conference just outside Amsterdam, which only happens every 3 years. And I saw it first at 6 in. And I thought it was going to cause this huge thing, but I don't think anybody had heard about it just yet. Maybe it just took some time. But obviously the first one was just pure tragedy, just thinking of individuals in that situation. And then thinking of all the teams and all the effort that was going into try to find them. It was clearly a very costly event. And it just kind of points to this world of search and rescue that is happening, but public in general isn't aware. So there's just so many, so obviously heartfelt for all the families, and then was keeping my fingers crossed that they were going to hit on something, but knowing just what they were up against, and then now knowing the result, recognizing there's nothing anybody could have done except for preventative. I just hope that it's an eye-opener for learning. It's something we're constantly battling against when it comes to the changes we're seeing with global warming, more floods, more fires. When it comes to floods and things like that, our solution is so much safer and so much cheaper, but getting groups to be proactive instead of reactive is a hurdle. And so I'm hoping it was eye-opening for those individuals who can really make a decision to pivot towards being proactive and preventative.
Yeah, that proactive piece and the investment up front feels so important. And I would say, Kelly, that's probably something you're up against too, like the upfront, trying to get the investment up front and really get people to buy into it. Because I'm sure it's easier when brands, if there was regulation that came forward that required this, and if there was that the stick, not the carrot incentive. And so I imagine that's part of how you need to interact too. So let's move over to you, Kelly. Any thoughts and comments around that piece? And also, as you look at the year ahead, your biggest wish or opportunity?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that echoes pretty deeply with us on our side of the business. Obviously, regulation would be very helpful for mass adoption in a quicker fashion. I think one thing that we're trying to harness more this year, especially heading into next year, is the power and momentum of our community of customers who actually are really bought into wanting to shop and ship and live a more sustainable lifestyle. And so seeing if there's ways that we can, instead of the stick, use the carrot, but make that even a more sizable carrot by using that community to really show brands, if they make a change, here are customers who will be more loyal to you, shop with you more frequently. And so I think our big thing that we're trying to manifest over the next year is kind of building that community and strengthening that community, and then harnessing the wave of that community to help us as we kind of transition to larger and larger brands.
And that the point of connection where community feels really connected to who you are as a brand, especially if you do go with bigger, when you go with all the great bigger contracts. Yeah. Community feels really at the center of how you operate, Marissa, both in the business, because it's a platform that actually enables points of community connection, but also how you show up in the community too, as a community builder and contributor. I'd love to know how you're thinking about the year ahead, biggest opportunity, wish, and how you think about building community around and for the business, because it's definitely something that I think probably over the last 10 years has shifted so much for companies and brands. I don't know that people were talking about community in the same way that we now talk about it as such a cornerstone to actually the business succeeding.
It's a fantastic question. So as far as the wish list, I would love to see Memphis becoming super efficient operationally. So one thing that I always fear when there's money in the bank is that distraction and lack of efficiency. Because when you're bootstrapping and the money is tight, you always figure out how to make it happen as an entrepreneur. So one thing that I want to be mindful, especially when we're having this big funds coming in, multi-million dollars, I always want to make sure that we stay super efficient and we get the best ROI out of every single dollar, especially if it's coming from this government backed taxpayer money. So that's something that I'm being mindful about. As far as building community, as we grow and scale, this two-sided marketplace, which one side is like our amazing consumers, that's really important for us. Like really pin down the value prop, how to be communicating to people. So we're a local BC startup, and cars are the second largest asset for most people. And there are tens of thousands of cars transacted just in BC alone every year. How do we get the word out? But communicate is like the most simple, safe way to buy and sell a car. No fees to you. Just go ahead and use it. They build it for you. How do we get that word out? And as far as the question you asked about how to build a community, is really leveraging the communities that already exist, right? There's a Tesla community. There are like Porsche lovers. How do we get in the communities that already exist, or like immigrants, newcomers? They all have these communities. How do we build relationships with them and leverage the communities that have already built? and together we build the business community. So that's something that we're trying to focus on this year, connecting with the already existing communities and build the business community based on it.
I think that's such a thoughtful and wise approach, is the existing community and really investing back into it, you know, serving more and deeper the folks who are already on the journey with you. And I can really relate to it because at the forum, we've been having a lot of conversations about the incredible community that we have, both of alumna of entrepreneurs, but people who want to support them, and what are ways that we can keep closing the bridge and divide and enable the stickiness to happen and for it to all kind of be connected and live. And those are conversations that are very alive for our team too, because we, you know, I appreciated you saying like the seamless experience and the desire for the seamless support and community access to be there feels really important. And I want to pick up on that by asking, I know that being connected to the forum community is something that you each took away through the entirety of the program. And I'd love to, for a moment, if we can go back in time, back to like, I don't know, August, September, whenever it was of last year when you were applying for the pitch program. I would love to know at the time when you were applying, what did you think the process and program would be? What did you think you would get out from it? And how did that map out? Was it different? And what was different about it? Or was it the same? And how was that process for you? One of the reasons, or one of the questions that we get a lot asked from entrepreneurs is, gosh, these things take so much time and we need to invest into it. And am I ready for it? And should I even do it? And is my business worthy? We get a lot of these questions. And I love being able to share with entrepreneurs for them to understand not only the ROI, that's really important as well, but actually how the process feels and what it enables them to feel connected around. Maybe Marissa, will go to you first this time. And I know you and I have had this conversation because you posted that brilliant LinkedIn post, which we'll have to dig and maybe share with others, but you had so clearly actually articulated what you found the ROI to be, and sharing that I think is so important so that others can go, okay, yes, I should invest into myself and my time into this.
I think this is a fantastic question. And the reason is that we founders have very limited time, and we're always evaluating, hey, should I invest my time into this? And forum competition by design, it requires investments of time and energy to go through every hoop. And that's by design. The reason is that we have this amazing people that panelists that are dedicating their time, volunteering their time to look into our business plan, look into our competition, and providing productive feedback. If I share my own experience, is when I was working with Rebecca, my mentor, she really tied down my pitch. And this is something I've been pitching for 3 years. And we won so many awards and recognition on panels and talking about Memphis all the time. We're have done 3 rounds of financing. Imagine how many like investment pitches we've done. And she came in and she wouldn't take no for an answer. She was like, no, I think this is not. I was like, well, this resonates with people. She's like, no, I think we can make it better. And I think as an entrepreneur, really like creating that environment for the mentors, for the judges to provide us feedback, from like tightening our pitch to opening doors for us. I came down the stage of the forum competition. We got investment from the co-founder of one of the biggest successful companies of Vancouver. We had dealer partners that joined us. They made connections for us for dealer partners. Business development, we created some opportunities there. So we brought on board some partners there that in our funnel. We ended up selling cars. The consumers, they were like, oh my gosh, I love this. We didn't know about it. And a bunch of people came in and was like, hey, how'd you hear about it? I was so the forum competition. I'm like, this is amazing. And the follow on is just continuous. People are like, oh, I heard about this. I was thinking, would you be able to potentially be interested in connecting with these people? That's on one side. The other side is that we also have the responsibility of like being part of that community, delivering that sort of experience for others. Like, for example, I was talking to the founder of Be Kind Laundry, which was one of the top 12. She told me like she was pitching. I was like, I love this sustainability. With like when I use my detergent, I got something. She sent me more gifts and I'm giving it to everyone. And I'm like, just tell me if you're going to go buy it, because I want to tell her, because that's the impact of the forum community. It's a lot more than, for me, this competition is a lot more than getting on that stage and the prize. We're super grateful for it. But we really see the impact of the forum community when you're part of this whole process. You either make it as a finalist or not. I think everyone can see the impact of it. I would love to hear Carlin and Kelly's point on this, but for us, beyond what I expected. Thank you for what you created, Paulina, and you and your team. It's phenomenal.
Thank you. Yeah, it's such an amazing team effort. And, I think also a testament to what 21 years of doing this work really can create too, because community isn't created overnight. The trust isn't built overnight. And Carlin, you've had some experience with it because this wasn't your first time as part of the pitch program. So I feel like you might have a unique perspective on it as someone who, I believe this was your third time going through this program, I think, of what kept you engaged and coming back, and how the value changed, or maybe not, or what it looked like over those times.
Yeah, for sure. So it was my second time through. But in the first one, I made the semifinals. I think the first one was the first one the forum ever did. It was when you called FWE. So it was very early days. I just went in on a whim and was like, there's no way I'm going to make this. Yeah, it was so valuable. I learned so much that time and connected with an incredible community. And it was just me. I did not have any employees. I barely had a prototype. I had a vision that I couldn't articulate. That process really helped with that. And so coming full circle, doing it again, like 6 years later, I saw somebody like sent it over to me, and I was like, oh, I did this years ago. Like, I'm sure the competition is way too high. Like, I don't even want to bother. And they were just, no, we should give it a shot. So I put my name in, and I thought, well, what have I got to lose? Like, I'd really like to just connect, because I feel like COVID really messed me up in terms of my connection to community. Something that Marissa is like a professional at. Like, that's my weak spot. Like, every time she posts on LinkedIn, I'm like, I want to create these posts. I don't even, like, it's just not my wheelhouse to be that person, but I wish I was, or I wish I had a Marissa twin that I could be like, this stuff for me, because this is not my strength. But COVID, we just dove down into the tech through 2020 and 2021. And then I kind of came out on the other side in 2022 being like, okay, we need to grow our network. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've lost all that. So it seemed like the perfect opportunity to reconnect to the forum. The semifinals, I think, was phenomenal. I was so inspired by everybody there. And the fact that there were hundreds that didn't make it, it was just super uplifting to know that many females out there are trying to run their own business. And I just felt so incredibly supportive. And since then, I've connected with a few of them, and some that are in biotech, which is my space that I used to be, like, I've connected with them with potential investors or potential advisors. And every time I see them pop up on LinkedIn, like, they're already making so much progress from where they were in the semis. It's just really inspiring. And then, of course, the finals itself, it was, the feedback I got from other people were like, wow, the forum really know how to throw an event, hey? Like, it was like that. Like, it felt like such a big deal. And it was so nice to feel that way, because as Marissa said, we're very busy, and you kind of have to pick and choose what you invest in. But just that feeling of being able to tell a story in a compelling way that had audience members continuously coming up saying, I love what you're doing. I believe in what you're doing. I mean, you can't hear that enough, but like, it was just a swath of that all in one go. And it was fantastic. It just, my level of confidence just went way up. And then, like Marissa said, the good things that keep happening, the connections, oh yeah, I know you, I saw you at this, or my friend saw you at that. It's the kind of that ripple effect is ongoing. So I'm just so grateful.
I love that you, Carlin, touched on confidence and connection, because I fundamentally really believe that those two things can be unlockers. And, we can provide you with all the tools, all the education, and all the resources, but to feel confident and connected is what really helps you make all the decisions day in, day out, and move through those pieces. And certainly in those decisions, every day there's no one in the decision with you going, yes, we're your biggest cheerleader, go do it. And so I'm so glad that this provides an opportunity to like soak in as much of that as possible for those hard days as well.
Totally.
Yeah. Kelly, what was the experience and process like for you?
Honestly, I don't know how to say it better than these two just did. I would say, thinking back to when we applied last year, the main reason we were applying was we were just hoping to get some community of female entrepreneurs out of that. We did not expect to go all the way to the final gala there. So we were just excited to meet other people who were applying. And that was kind of, our view was, okay, we'll take this on us to build community out of this, reach out to people that we want to connect with from this. And that will be valuable. And you guys kind of 10x'd that expectation where honestly, you took the onus off of us to foster that community because you do so much work in fostering it. The forum does so much work in fostering it. And so similar stories in terms of just the people that have reached out directly to us, or just, it gives you like a warm, friendly way to say hi to someone when they already have some shared experience with you, being in the audience at the final gala, or even in the like showcase room ahead of time. That room was full of business leaders that Mevish and I have had business crushes on for several years. And so being able to walk in that room and say, hi, like, we love your business, we're part of the same community, was just huge. And then overall, I would say just like the amount of support that we experienced from the forum team along the whole journey, kind of stage to stage, application to application, heading up to that final gala, was unparalleled to anything that I've experienced, especially on an entrepreneurial road where there are absolutely no supports in place to try and do that for you. It was quite a special thing that made the two of us feel like really celebrated and really supported on the journey that we're on. So entirely very thankful for that.
I'm so glad to hear that. And I love the shared business crushes
that
everyone was able to make and foster. I totally can understand and appreciate that. I want to ask you all a question because I know we have a number of women entrepreneurs on the line and that listen after. You each spoke about this program, and I know you've engaged in many other programs, but also learning opportunities. And and Carlin, you recently finished our founder circle, and I see how each of you is investing into the learning and growth and development for yourselves as entrepreneurs. And sometimes what I hear in community is, I don't know if I'm ready for that kind of support, or should I even put my hand up and get it? Is someone going to think that I don't know how to do it? And you've spoken a little bit about the actual like ROI and investing into the time, but I also would love to hear like just your mindset around choosing to invest into yourself and into your business and go through these kinds of programs and access the education and mentorship. What advice or perspective would you give to entrepreneurs who are considering how and what and where to access around that? Maybe Carlin, I'll put you in the spot first because I know you just most recently came through one with us too. So I'd love to hear that.
For sure. I think it's, oh gosh, I've never regretted choosing to take time out of the business to invest in my personal growth or my leadership or in the company vision. I don't think you can put a price on it, even in the price of time. Just to follow up, because Kelly mentioned it, but yeah, the mentorship that we got, Melanie was unbelievable in helping me improve my pitch. And then the voice coaching and all that stuff, the amount of support we got from the forum was insane. And that's going to stick with me forever, right? And so when I go back to when I did this in 2017, I learned so much and I was not ready for this at all. And I feel like I was much more ready for it now. And I still learned a ton. So I think no matter what stage you're at, discounting yourself, just don't do that. Like, you're always going to find benefit if you're like open to get feedback and you're open to accept support. or other points of view. Like, I just don't think there's a downside to taking a pause and being like, I'm going to go dedicate this hour, this month, or this moment to working on me or my leadership or my, like, I just, and the nerves, that makes so much sense. I don't think anybody goes into these things being like, I know everything, or I'm perfectly ready for this. I'm not sure what Marissa you probably feel, but I think nerves are a part of it, or that sense of, I don't know if it's the right time or if it's worth it. But there's a lot of things that a founder has to invest their time in. And I think working on yourself, your vision, your leadership is at the top. It should be at the top of that list. Mm-hmm. Because what do I always tell you about forecasts? The only thing that's ever 100% true about a forecast is that it's going to be wrong. So, right. So I think it's like, it's one of those things where it's one of those things that parallel, it's always going to be helpful to learn and to work on things. Like, there's always more to learn.
Yeah, and to be working on the business and not only in the business.
Yeah.
It's a big transition for a founder too, to even be able to step into that capacity and be able to do it. Kelly, I'd love to hear how you've thought and think about that.
I mean, I think about it less often than I should. I think I really do often fall into the trap of working in the business, just because it's funny, my role before this, I was working as a consultant, and all you're doing is working on other people's businesses. And then as soon as you are the person that owns the business, you have such a strong tilt towards, I need to execute, or I am wasting valuable time. And it definitely took me the first full year to learn that, no, you can end up working on the wrong things. Even if you're executing, you're not executing in a high ROI way if you don't take a step back every now and then and really take time to A, evaluate the picture, and B, like, improve your skills so that you can execute in a faster way, or find a way to outsource it in a way that's more valuable than you spending your own time on it. I think that's been a very large lesson for me. It's almost the like slow down to go fast mentality a little bit, which I think myself and my co-founder have tried to keep ourselves accountable of that, of kind of blocking out periods of time in the calendar when you look a month ahead to say, this afternoon you need to spend doing this instead of just this. So I think like pre-planning and blocking out chunks of time to do the upskilling tasks, or just the working on the business versus in the business tasks. If you plan it out ahead of time and try and protect that time as sacred time, then it's more likely it will happen. That's what I found. But definitely something I'm personally also still working on is making sure that I hold myself accountable to carving out that time.
And you're so right. It really does need to make it into the calendar. Otherwise it doesn't happen, because things always come up. Marissa, how about you? How do you think about these programs and opportunities?
So amazing things were shared by Carlin and Kelly. So I want to be respectful of that. So I take a different approach. I share about how I go about like growing and learning, and the things that I think are equally important of not doing. So for me, the most effective things that I've learned that I can learn from is investors. Investors have a skin in the game. They're here, like they have invested money into us to make this business successful. So the most important thing for me is that don't sugarcoat it. If I have a board meeting or board update or anything, I always start with what went wrong. I text my investors when something happens. I'm like, hey, this happened. What can I get help with? The other one is like serial entrepreneurs, like having that group that been there, done that. Like for me, I was a software company. My mentors, I will not have you as a mentor unless you have built a startup and gotten to 10 million revenue, at least. Because they have to go through that problem. Carly, and I see you're smiling because you know what I'm talking about. As far as like communities like the forum, I think it's very important to select high performing communities and accelerators, and looking at the where are they now of like the past winners, like something like the forum. They've been around for 21 years. Look at how high performing the past finalists or the winners were, and then evaluate the quality of this communities that we can tap into. Forum is a fantastic example of like a high performing community. One thing that I just heard from one of our mentors, actually, we have a mentor that came in like 3 days sitting down with Mike and I, just completely shutting down work, 3 days straight through as a business coach, and like literally hashing out everything, auditing everything. Is that's how much time would take for that. One thing that is very important, he was saying to us last week, was we need to grow as fast as the company is growing. So if the revenue is tripled this year, it means that we should have grown 3 times as co-founders to be able to catch up. Otherwise, the founders have to be replaced with people that they've been there and done that and know how to manage a company at that scale. And the other thing that I'll say is, I think we as founders should be really respectful of our own time and not be afraid of firing mentors and advisors. Sometimes they're just not the right fit. Sometimes we outgrow them. And saying no to accelerators and programs. I am not a big fan of the saying of, oh, you can learn something from anyone or anything. Yeah, you can, but have you thought about the ROI? Is it really worth it? Like, I get on the stage of the forum and look at all this ROI, I create a post and it had like 20,000 impressions on it because people resonate with it. Like, it resonates with people. But you can go to another competition and it's just not, you don't learn much from it. And you don't become a part of a community. Forum has built a community that you're part of and you can always rely on. That's the ROI I think that we should keep in mind as we're evaluating different communities and accelerators to be part of.
Yeah, so just to add to that, like, I have done that. It's very important to be able to say no to things and really look into what something's going to get you. But if you're interested in something, just don't discount yourself. But I completely agree with what Marcia's saying, because you will, as a founder, you get offered a lot of things. So you have to really decide where to invest your time.
Mm-hmm. I also really appreciated, Marcia, your comments around the founder growing along and as fast with the business and the investment into that and the right people that will support you along that. I think that's really important. It can be really straightforward to stay in your role as is and get to the point where actually the founder is the one that's a roadblock to growth because you haven't accelerated your own growth in line with where the business itself is going. So I thought that was really sound advice that you got from the mentor advisor that you got.
Thank you. And actually that goes to the team as well. I see some of our founder friends that are like, I'm like, hey, are you investing in like your team? Are they taking training? Or do they have mentors? Are you pairing them with mentors? They take the time to read a book. We're like now implementing a book of a month. Book of a quarter. So one quarter, like for example, we're going through branding right now, like rebranding somewhat. So there's a book of like that everyone in the company, we encourage everyone to read that. So everyone's on the same page. I think we need to equally invest in the team. Some founders are like, no, like we have so much to do. The team is like, overloaded. But the thing is that they need to grow with the team.
Yeah.
Otherwise the business outgrows the team and they're just not going to be performing and they're not going to be growing in their career either. So yeah. I think it goes to the team as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, being mindful of time, we're going to wrap up shortly. So I'm going to do one last question to each of you, which is, knowing that you have this attentive community around you here, I'd love to hear from each of you what is or a few tangible ways that you think people can support your business and women-led businesses. Would anyone like to go first? Marcia's on it. She's getting it.
I can go.
Yes.
I think for supporting the founders is when we learn what we do, I think it would be extremely helpful if we just go ahead and use the product. Get the word out and get the word out about it. That I think that would be a fantastic support. Or we share feedback. If you use it, go through the platform or use the product and just provide feedback. Consumer feedback is extremely invaluable.
I love that you said try it and provide feedback. And I would add provide feedback and leave that Google review or whatever other piece once you interact with it. But I think that provide feedback is really important, you know, so mostly businesses only get feedback when it's negative or it's a negative review, because that's usually when people are driven to action. And even providing the positive note of like, hey, you're a woman-led founder, you built this great business, I had a seamless experience. Thank you. That can also feel so good. And you never know if it lands on a hard day for someone, but that providing the feedback directly to the business too, and not just going and ranting about them elsewhere, is such a tangible way that you can actually help. Because no one starts a business wanting it to be crappy and not work and be frustrating for anyone. Behind that frustration is someone who's doesn't even know about it or is deeply working on trying to fix it. Carlin, how about you?
Well, just so first off, it is summer. Everybody's going to be going to the water. So just keep your friends and family safe. Spread our message. Drowning happens everywhere. It's so fast. You don't think about it. People are having drinks. I know it's not direct to our business, but it definitely is our ultimate goal is to prevent drowning and to bring those numbers down. So if you could all walk away with just that thought in the back of your head and just share it like crazy, because that awareness needs to go up immensely. And on a second level, if you know anybody in the world of rescue that hasn't heard of us yet, please do share. It's not exactly a B2C the way you can help Marissa and Telly out. But we're constantly looking for new connections, and you just never know where they're going to be found. So if you know anybody who's in the world of free diving or public safety diving or whatever, please connect them with us. But stay safe and encourage those around you to think before acting. That's all I can say.
That's great. Thank you, Carlin. Kelly?
I mean, again, I would echo exactly what these two both said. I think people underappreciate the impact of word of mouth. I don't think you really realize how important it is until you own a business. And then when that happens naturally and organically, you're so thankful for it. Anytime I have a friend starting a business or I encounter someone who has had a business for a long time I didn't know about, I try and share it with other people. And I find, especially in the Canadian community, that's what I find with most of our users, is that they are so excited to want to hear about new businesses. That's something that we're trying to do more now with them, is just share with them people and businesses that we have met and have huge respect for. And so same topic, but just sharing is caring. So with other women-led businesses, I honestly think that's the best way to help.
Amazing. Totally agree. Well, I could speak to each of you for hours. And as we know, your time is so precious and valuable. So I'm going to give a big round of thank you so much for sharing your perspectives, your experience, your advice with us, and your energy. We will obviously be continuing to follow you along and sharing all of the amazing things that you will be up to, and wishing you all the luck and always in your corner. So thank you for being on the line with us. We will be slowly removing your videos off. And as we do, I'm going to close us and give a big thank you to everyone who joined to listen in today, especially those who are our donors, supporters, mentors, speakers, and community of champions. All of this work happens with you and thanks to you. This has been our 8th Impact event, and we'll certainly be hosting more like this in the future. And you're all on the list, so you will hear about them coming up. And then I'm going to practice what I've preached and take a moment here to ask for a call to action for our community, from the forum. And for that, I'm so excited to share with you that we have confirmed the dates for the Odlum Brown Forum Pitch program for next year. So we're really getting ahead of it, so you can put it into your calendars now. And not only do we have the date for the finale, which will be April 25th, 2024, but I'm also so excited to share, and you're the first live on the line hearing about it. We will also be bringing back our semifinals in person in Vancouver and Toronto in 2024. So Vancouver semifinals will be February 15th, and then Toronto semifinal will be February 29th. It's a leap year next year, so we'll be doing it on the leap day. So watch out for those details. You can pop those into your calendars now. But we'll be so excited to activate community and engage you in all of the fun happenings around that. And of course, the program itself for applications opens late September. So if you're on our email list, you'll be notified about all the dates for applying for the programs. Our cohort-based programs right now have come to a close over the summertime, but our mentorship program is always open. You can apply for it anytime, any day, and that has continuous matching. So if you are looking to get supported through the summer months and really set yourself and your business up, we welcome you to apply for that program. And as always, we really love hearing from you, our community members. And so same, actually, comment as before, if you have any feedback for us, if you have any ideas, suggestions, relationship partnerships that you think we could be activating to further our work of supporting women entrepreneurs across Canada, we would love to hear from you. And with that, just a minute over, we are exactly right on time. I want to thank everyone again for joining us. I hope everyone has a safe and wonderful start to your summer, and we look forward to being in touch with you. Thank you, everyone.